Hey guys, welcome back to Anna Empowers. I hope you guys peeped the new intro that I designed. I really like it. I hope you guys like it as well. I'm trying to change up things and switch up on all of that. So I hope you're feeling the intro because I am. And in today's video we'll be doing extreme weather, but we're going to focus more on preparation, management, how it is handled basically. So before we get into the video, please remember to like, share and subscribe. We are on the road to 500 subscribers and I believe I'm 11 subscribers short of 500. So if you can get me to 500 subscribers by the end of tonight or tomorrow, that would be amazing, so we can start on the road to 1k. Alright guys, we're going to go into extreme weather now, so let's get started. So now we're going to talk about the bodies that are responsible for disaster preparedness and relief. Now the first body that we're going to speak on is the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, known as ODPEM, and it's a Jamaican disaster preparedness coordinating body. It is responsible for preventing and reducing the impact of hazards. It also coordinates responses to inter-island disasters with the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Response Agency. So ODPEM is responsible for preparing, relief, mitigation laws, so on and so forth, relating to disasters. They also help out other islands who just had a disaster, so wherever Jamaica can help out, we'll help them out. The Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency is an inter-regional supportive network of independent emergency units throughout the Caribbean region. So it's one joint link that's linking all of the other offices and agencies in the different countries. It was formed on September 1st in 2005, and it was formed as the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Response Agency, and it underwent a name change to CDEMA. Alright, so it was commonly known, and some people to this day still say CDERA, but the name has changed since 2009. Now, how does a country handle an extreme weather event? Well, they usually follow a risk management cycle. So I'm going to introduce you to this risk management cycle now. Alright, so let's look at it. So we're seeing a cycle similar to the water cycle, or nitrogen cycle, carbon cycle. A cycle is something that is always happening, it's always going around, and one process is needed for the other process and so on. So the first one that really comes out at us is the red, which is disaster. But we're gonna look to the left of disaster a bit. We always want to start off with preparation, because you have to prepare before the disaster, and that's a key thing. So even if we haven't, alright, for example, we are a country and we haven't gotten any disaster, but we know that there might be a chance where we're going to get one, we have to prepare, right? So I consider preparation the first key step. So preparation, then the disaster. If it does come, you have the disaster afterwards. Then you have responses, so response to emergencies or needs, so on and so forth. Like those responses, if you need to get out of a trapped building, if you need to escape probably an area that's about to collapse, so on and so forth. So you have a response team. So you have response, then you have recovery. Recovery is trying to get things back to normal, how they were before. That's after everything has cooled down and the whole disaster is settled. You see that there's recovery taking place, and then have mitigation, which are rules or laws that are put in place to ensure that the same destruction or the same thing does not happen again, in terms of, for example, if a building was made out of sand, for example, a rule will be in place where basins should be made out of concrete or stone, bricks, so on. So if another disaster is to occur, it won't have the same effect, right? That's just for example, but that's just to understand mitigation. Now we're going to focus on two main extreme weathers, how you prepare for them, what you do during them, what you do afterwards, and we're going to focus on drought and flooding. All right. So we're gonna kind of go through the disaster management cycle with these extreme weather events. All right, so let's talk about drought, right? Now, before a drought, because it's always the before, it's always preparation stage. So strategies for drought preparedness focus mainly on water conservation. Many of these practices are a part of our daily lives and they help to preserve the essential resource. So preparing for a drought is more of conserving water, because if you're conserving water, you are preparing. So if a drought is to occur, you won't be short of water, there won't be a water shortage. Now, some general tips in water conservation include: never pour water down the drain when there may be another use for it. For example, use it to water your indoor plants or garden. So in this case, don't waste water down the drain when you could use water for something else. So if there's a plant outside, you decide to start growing tomatoes or sweet peppers, and you have this water in the kitchen, don't just pour it down the sink. Go and water the plants. That's just a general tip. Now, repair dripping faucets by replacing washers. 1 drop per second wastes 2,700 gallons of water per year. Now, I know a lot of us have some dripping faucets, some dripping pipes. No matter how tight you lock them, they're still dripping. Try to get those out, repair them as soon as possible, because if you look at it, in a year, you're wasting 2,700 gallons when that could be solved and fixed, right? Now, check all plumbing for leaks and have any leaks that you know repaired by a plumber. So leaking, you're just wasting the water. Where's the water going? Down the drain when you could use the water for something else. Because the thing is that this water that is being leaked out is not used for something, but then you're going to use some water from the hose to water the plants when that water could be used to water the plants. You understand? So it's like you're doubling up on water when you could have used one set amount. Now, choose appliances that are more energy and water efficient. So it's same thing with light. They said use energy saving light bulbs, LED bulbs, so on. Same thing with water, where an appliance, if it needs water, it should use a minimum amount and not OD, right? Now, plant native and or drought tolerant grasses, ground cover, shrubs and trees. Plant them. Plant the grasses that can tolerate the heat, can tolerate heat for a long period of time without getting brown or without dying. Get those plants like cactuses and so on that can tolerate the heat, right? That's for like if you know that where you live is prone to droughts, right? I don't want to say everyone should get that, because I know a lot of persons like their flowers and their trees and so on and so forth. But if your area is prone to drought, you can consider planting those. Now, once established, the plants will adapt to your local climate. They don't need a lot of water, and they usually survive during a dry period without watering. Now, small plants require less water to become established. Group plants together based on similar water needs. Now, if you know that you have 2 plants that need a lot of water, then you have 3 plants that doesn't need a lot of water, don't put the plant that needs one whole heap of water and a plant that does need a little bit of water together. Doesn't make any sense. You'll be wasting water. Put those that have the same need together. All right, so here is a picture. And it says why it's important to conserve water, and we look, and under each image there's a reason. So if we look under, this is looking like a cactus in the desert. It says to prepare for future drought. So it's important to conserve, to prepare, also to guard against rising costs and potential conflict. If you do not conserve water, there will be a water shortage in times of need, whether it not be a drought. Remember, urbanization, not necessarily a drought, but there's a water shortage because there's a lot of persons moving into the cities. So to prevent potential conflict, to prevent a rising cost, water is going to increase, conserve water. To preserve the environment. So conserve water to ensure that water will always be there for those who need it. To strengthen communities, to make water available for recreational purposes. Some of us like to swim, some of us like to chill at the beach, some of us like to use water for water slides and so on. But if there's a water shortage, those stuff will not, well, other than the beach, it's a sea, but like pools and water slides, they won't be priority, right? So if you want to conserve your recreational activities, conserve your water. Now, what should we do during a drought? It says always observe local restrictions on water use during a drought. If restricted, for example, do not water your lawn, wash your car, or other non-essential uses to help ensure there's enough water for essential uses. Usually in a drought, government places restrictions on certain things that you can do. For example, don't wash your car. So no matter how dirty your car is, do not wash it, because that water that you're using to wash your car could go to something that is very essential. Don't waste time on water your lawn. Do something else with the water. Now, some indoor tips include avoid flushing the toilet unnecessarily, dispose of tissues, insects, and other similar waste in the trash rather than the toilet. So a lot of us, we'll pick up a little insect with a piece of tissue, we'll just drop it in the toilet and we'll flush, right? You have some tissue that you use, you just put it in there, you flush. Stuff like that, it's easy to flush. Reduce or avoid doing that frequently and try to put it into a trash bin. Now, avoid taking baths. Take short showers. Turn on water only to get wet and lather and then again to rinse off. Now, a lot of us love those long showers, those long baths. The water that's running, with sodding and with soaping, and the water is still running. In a drought, can't afford to do that. You have to take a step back and know that, listen, water needs to be preserved. Water is in shortage, so you're going to take short showers. Now, clean vegetables in a pan filled with water rather than running water from the tap. Store drinking water in the refrigerator, and it's similar with washing the dishes as well. Don't have the pipe running on the dishes. Get a container with water, use it to rinse the dishes, rinse the vegetables, so you're saving water. Now, do not let the tap run while you're waiting for your water to cool. A lot of us would like to just put the frozen ice or the frozen bottle under the tap, and then we just have the tap running, when you could just put it into a container. You understand? So you're saving water at all times. And even if it's not a drought, please continue to save water, because you never know what might happen. Alright, avoid using running water to thaw meat or other frozen foods. Defrost food overnight in the refrigerator or use the defrost setting on your microwave oven. Now, it's similar to a bottle with ice. You just put your thaw meat. If you know that, okay, tomorrow you're going to cook your chicken, but it's frozen, you put it out from overnight, so tomorrow it's ready, and you don't have to have the pipe hurrying up, and you're trying to hurry to get the meat to thaw out and all of that, so you're being prepared. Now, what about some outdoor conservation tips? The first one is avoid overwatering your lawn, and water only when needed. So don't get up every day and water in the lawn when actually your lawn is like crying to you. Say, stop watering me, oh my god, stop, because it's, you're doing a lot, right? Now, a heavy rain eliminates the need for watering for up to 2 weeks. Most of the year, lawns only need 1 inch of water per week. 1 inch of water? Come on. So you don't need to get up every single day watering. And sometimes you're watering and you're talking to your neighbor, and you're watering and you're looking over that person's house and not even realizing that you're overdoing the water. And most lawns only need about 1 inch of water per week. Alright, so let's cut it down. Now, avoid leaving sprinklers or hose unattended. A garden hose can pour out 600 gallons of water in only a few hours. Okay, in extreme drought, allow lawns to die in favor of preserving trees and large shrubs. So you have to now look at which one should we really attend to, the lawn or the trees and our shrubs, right? So sometimes you just have to sacrifice the lawns for a bigger reason. All right, now after a drought, water conservation should continue, and you should always do that to prepare for future droughts. So always keep conserving. It's not something that stops after the drought. You have to keep on doing it, and in that way you're prepared. Alright, it won't be as intense as during the drought. You can go back to some regular activities, but still bear in mind some conservation tips. Alright, let's talk about floods now. Now, Even if you feel you live in a community with a low risk of flooding, remember that anywhere it rains, it can flood. Just because you haven't experienced a flood in the past doesn't mean you won't in the future. A lot of us are comfortable because we're like, oh, my area it's never been flooded. We're not prone to floods, but you never know what may happen. Flood risk isn't just based on history, it's also based on a number of factors including rainfall, topography, flood control measures, river flow and tidal surge data, and changes due to new construction and development. So you never may know which one of these factors might flip one day and you are going to get flooded. Alright, so prepare for that. So to prepare before a flood, some tips include: build an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. So speak with your family on what exactly should be done. Okay, suppose flooding starts. How should we set up things in the home? How should things be? What should we do? Stuff like that. So you're creating a plan with your family who you live with. Now, avoid building in a floodplain unless you elevate and reinforce your home. And a floodplain is simply an area, usually beside a river or close to a river, where sometimes if the river overflows, the water will go over on the plains. Naturally, persons would not opt to live there, but some persons don't have a choice. However, if you're going to live on floodplains, ensure that you reinforce your home to withstand that water. Now, elevate your furnace, water heater, and electric panel in your home if you live in an area that has a high flood risk. Elevate a lot of stuff as well, not just the electric panel, your furnace, your water heater, but elevate probably your bed, books, important documents. You don't have them lying on the flat because you never know when the water is going to rush in and that will be a disaster. So have important stuff that you need and don't want them elevated, so there's less chance of them being wet or washing away or whatever. Now, during a flood, there are some tips. So listen to the radio or television for information. Always keep your ears open, your eyes open to listen for the information that's happening, to see, okay, it's going to stop, it's not going to stop for now, how much water, how much rain, so on and so forth. Be aware that flash flooding can occur. If there is any possibility of a flash flood, move immediately to higher ground. And a flash flood is simply just water going in rapidly, as the word flash suggests. It's just pouring. It's not just water moving subtly, it's a lot of water moving in at one time. Alright, so be aware of that, and if that's the case, you have to get out, you have to move to higher ground. Do not wait for instructions to move. Be aware of stream, drainage channels, canyons, and other areas known to flood suddenly. Flash floods can occur in these areas with or without typical warnings such as rain clouds and heavy rain. So, areas where there is depressions, it's really prone to flooding, and you have to be careful how you're moving because you don't know which area is in, which area is in depression, stuff like that. So you have to be careful. If you must prepare to evacuate, you should do the following: secure your home. If you have time, bring in outdoor furniture. Move essential items to the upper floor. So if you hear or if you get warning that a flash flood is going to occur, but you have some time, you can do this, all right? Or if you're going to evacuate, do this. So you're putting all outdoor furniture inside. Turn off your utilities at the main switches or valves if instructed to do so. Disconnect electric appliances. Do not touch electric equipment if you are wet or standing in water. You are going to be shocked. Do not touch electric equipment if you are wet or standing. And don't be like, oh, it's not plugged in, it's not, getting any electricity. You still don't want to take that risk. Science will prove that it has to be plugged in, but you just don't know, or you may feel that you told Simon to plug it out and you think it's plugged out, but it's not really plugged out, and you don't want to take that chance, so just don't touch it at all. Now, after a flood, there are some tips. Avoid moving water. Stay away from damaged areas unless your assistance has been specifically requested by police, fire, or relief organizations. So you are not going to go in any damaged area because you don't know what may collapse. But if you are a part of a relief team, remember that word, relief. All right, if you're a part of a relief team, organization, a part of the fire or police department, you are still considered a part of a relief team. and you are requested to do so, that's fine because you will be prepared. Now, emergency workers will be assisting people in flooded areas. You can help them by staying off the roads and stay out of the way. So emergency workers are also relief workers. They're there listening for the calls to say, oh, I'm trapped here. This is about to collapse. I can't move. So emergency workers are on the chop, on the move when you call them, all right? But if you can help yourself and not go on roads and not put yourself in a position where you need to call an emergency worker, that would be great. Now, play it safe. Additional flooding or flash floods can occur. Listen for local warnings and information. Now, just because one flash flood occur, okay, that's it. You never know when another one is going to occur. You never know when the rain is going to pour again, and that's a flood right there. So always play it safe. If your car stalls in rapidly rising waters, get out immediately and climb to higher ground. So if your car can't move, the waters are rising quickly, hurry, try to get out as quickly as possible, and you just get to higher ground. Either if you have to stand on the top of your car, or you're able to move to a higher area, do so. Return home only when authorities indicate that it is safe. Don't just go because you miss your home. If authorities do not say it is safe, do not go home. Roads may still be closed because there have been damage or are covered by water. Barricades have been placed for your protection. If you come upon a barricade or a flooded road, go another way. Don't decide that you're going to go over the barricade. However you're going to do it, don't decide to do it. They're placed there for a reason. So you either find another way or you just stay where you are. Alright, stay safe. Stay safe. Stay safe. Avoid flood waters because water may be contaminated by oil, gasoline, and raw sewage. Remember, flood waters do not favor one thing over the other. Wherever direction they're going, they're just going no matter what is in the way. And sometimes they will meet upon oil, gasoline, and raw sewage, garbage, so on and so forth. So you never know where that water is flushing or running from. So just avoid the waters. Service damaged septic tanks, cesspools, pits, and leaching systems as soon as possible. Damaged sewer systems are serious health hazards. Listen for news reports to learn whether the community's water supply is safe to drink. Remember that sometimes our drinking water can become contaminated after a flood, because remember, the flood waters is mixing with a lot of things. You don't know where it's going, you don't know which direction it's going, so it can interfere with our drinking water. So there has to be tests that are done to ensure that our water is safe to drink. So until you get reports of that, avoid drinking community water. Now, clean and disinfect everything that got wet. Same rules apply because water may be contaminated. You don't know if it is or if it isn't, so just to be safe, clean and disinfect everything that got wet. Okay? Alright. Mud left from flood waters can contain sewage and chemicals. So not just the water itself, but the mud that is left from the water can contain sewage and chemicals. So just watch where you're stepping. Avoid mud as much as possible. Now, rest often and eat well. And this is a general tip which can be applied with droughts, floods, regular mental health. It's just a general tip that can be applied to anything. If you're stressed, rest often, eat well. Things like this can stress an individual because things may be damaged, cars, things that you really invest your money in, your home can be destroyed, and it can affect persons mentally and physically. So the best thing to do is to rest and to just eat well, think positively, and just hope that relief and recovery will come your way, because I know that it can take a toll on persons. Now, keep a manageable schedule. Make a to-do list and complete the list one at a time. Discuss your concerns with others and seek help. And this is a part of personal recovery. Now, you can make a schedule, and this schedule can consist of things that needs to get done to help recover from the flood. So, for example, you can have a list of get furniture, repair cars, fix septic tanks, so on and so forth. And you just put it into the order that you think it's most manageable and get things done. Alright, so you just take a little time and just go through, because as I said before, it can be stressful, but with a calm mind, anything is possible. And here we have a visual representation of how high floodwaters can get and how it can affect our home, our homes. I don't know what's wrong with me and those cells. All right, if we look at this picture right here, we realize that the water, one, is very dirty by the color, so you can know that mixed with a lot of stuff. It is that it's covering, it's almost at the roofs of persons' homes. So imagine you are in your home, and if you're in water, it feels like you're under the sea, it feels like you're in the ocean. You are literally, if you look up, it's water, it's all over. All right, so the water, you can see that it's right up on the person's roofs. So you know that water is all in their homes. Everything is damaged. I don't think anything can be restored because the water is so high, and you definitely can't walk in that. You'd have to swim, because you definitely can't walk in that. That's how high the water is. So, and also if you look, it seems to me that those houses are on a floodplain, because it looks like there's a river or a stream running right there in between the two areas. One area we can't see and one area we can see. So you can see why they would say not to live near a floodplain, because this can happen. So the rivers get extremely high and it runs over on everything. So that is the end of our video. I really hope that you learned a lot. I really hope that after this video you will start to conserve, you will start to prepare just in case, because preparation is best. Preparation is good, and it's better to prepare than to have the event occur and you're scrambling and you're wondering. It's better to already know what you're gonna do. All right, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. The quote of the day is, tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn. And that's from Benjamin Franklin. Thank you so much. Remember, road to 500 subscribers, then road to 1K. Really appreciate you guys. Bye.